The Story of the Four Brothers and the Ever-Changing World of Minecraft. Chapter 1 Inception. For them it all started in a mist, a haze. Things seemed familiar but more unfamiliar than too familiar. They looked at each other with nervous expressions on their faces. The four of them began questioning reality. For they knew where they were. It was just impossible for them to be there. The oldest brother William was the first to break the silence. With a look of sheer terror on his face he looked at Joseph, the third son. "What's going on?" he yelled. Joseph looked quite perplexed. "I don't know, this isn't normal. I don't remember the real-life Minecraft mode being added. Do you? 'Cause I missed that 1 inch, so?" said Howard the last born. "And this may be an obvious question, but how do we get back, to our reality?" "You don't." A voice coming from behind Charlie, the second-born son. They all at once turned to look to see a small floating orb. "Who are you?" Charlie asked. "Or what are you? And what do you mean we don't?" Joseph asked. "Well, not without my help," the orb said excitedly. "What did you do to us? Tell us what you did." William blurted out. Now, the orb said. "Let me explain. I hold together different dimensions. It is my responsibility to make sure they are properly monitored and separated. You can call me DS or Thomas. Now you four were playing Minecraft," he said. "Well, let me look at my incident report. What is this nonsense?" Charlie said, turning his back to the orb, walking closer to his brothers. "Here we go," the orb said. "A hydro collider is the cause of all of this. It appears on its last activation it opened up a rift into the Minecraft dimension, and drug you boys right along. No need to fear though, I will get everything sorted." "What's up?" Howard asked. "Why did you stop?" The orb's light dimmed, and it shook violently, revealing its extreme nervousness, while Howard repeated his question again. Charlie had already made up his mind about the orb. "He doesn't know anything," Charlie insisted. "Out with it," Willie said. The orb said it low, just enough to catch their attention, but not enough for them to make it out fully. "What did you say?" Joseph asked shakily. "Earth's gone," the orb repeated. William stared in disbelief, and then just repeated it. "Earth's gone?" He turned, looked at Charlie and said, "You're right, he doesn't know what he's talking about." "But how?" Charlie screamed. "We were just there." Joseph looked down at his hands in block form. Reality began slowly sinking in. He looked at all his brothers, then said, "We are in Minecraft though, aren't we?" Chapter 2 Denial, Reality, Experimentation. Some answers come to you easily, some pique your curiosity and leave you just dying to know. After some time had passed, the brothers realized the orb was telling the truth. The brothers were trapped in Minecraft, and that situation didn't look to be changing soon, or as they feared at all. They weren't completely new to this world. Of the brothers, the hourly Minecraft players were Howard and Joseph. They had plenty of experience in the game, and were well versed in making mob farms and building kingdoms and cities. They had enough knowledge that though they were in a new world, they felt they would be starting out with good footing. Charlie had some experience. Not a lot, but it was more than what William had. William had no experience at all in the world of Minecraft, so they were pretty worried. They began walking around aimlessly, completely in awe of their unexpected situation. They didn't travel far before they found themselves asking questions about the game given their real-life status. Howard, not one to beat the bush, got straight to the point and asked, "If we die in this world, do we die permanently or do we live forever by being reincarnated every time?" For a while nobody said anything. They all stood there contemplating death in Minecraft, and how easily it happens. "Well," Joseph said, "I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it." William, quickly changing the subject, asked a question about food and water to the Minecraft pros Howard and Joseph. "Normally in Minecraft you don't need water," stated Howard. "But you do need food. Death from starvation would be, we're not going to die," Joseph yelled, trying to convince himself more than anyone else. It was at that time Howard and Joseph divulged most of the information they knew about Minecraft to William and Charlie in the hopes to get them up to speed and prevent Joseph's fears from becoming reality. They briefly spoke about various things like the crafting tables, armor, weaponry, tools, water buckets, boats, villagers and other mobs and more. With everything discussed, the brothers thought it would be best to set out looking for a village, so that's what they did. They began walking around, looking in all directions for the plumes of smoke that would indicate a villager's home. Along the way they answered some of their lingering questions, like it turned out you still didn't need water to drink, gravity still only worked on certain blocks, caves and dark places still had mobs in them. Definitely not a peaceful server, Joseph thought amused. Over a mountain and down a valley or two, the brothers finally stumbled across a village. Unlike usual in this situation, Howard and Joseph did not go and start looting chests and taking items of value. They had very important questions that needed answering, mostly pertaining towards the villager and their capabilities. Howard and Joseph began questioning villagers. They looked like scientists collecting data from test subjects. In some instances, the way they interacted with villagers could almost be called police interrogation. Through their investigation, some of their worst fears were realized when a villager asked them a question back. Of course they answered swiftly. However, it was noted in both of their minds with a quick glance at each other that the fact that consciousness in the villager was a thing here made the brothers salivate with ideas. Whether villager was intelligent or not didn't matter, not to them. The simple fact that the villager could learn and interact weighed heavily on their minds. Quite the ample amount of possibilities one could achieve in this place, Joseph uncontrollably blurted out mid-conversation with a villager while looking right at Howard. The villager and Howard looked at Joseph with questionable faces. Howard started to ask a question that was cut off by Joseph apologizing for his outburst, then abruptly walking away, leaving them to ponder his words' true meaning. William notices that the sun is going down, so he talks to his brothers, bringing to their attention the question about night and day by sleeping in beds. They asked the villagers to use their beds, however the villagers found it weird that they would even ask such a question. For them, beds belonged to the community and not the individual. Hearing this, the brothers found the situation to be in their favor and grabbed the villagers' beds and put them inside a house side by side. Then they quickly got into bed to see if it would change from night to day. During this time the villagers went into panic mode, not because of the lack of beds, but because of the emerging mobs from the pitch dark of the night. The villagers ran inside and slammed their doors. Some pretend to go to sleep and act like nothing was happening. Others listened in horror to the sounds of hissing, growling, and banging doors.
Hey, yo, let me in. I just want to eat. Talk to you. I got some candy. Man, I know you're in there. I can see you. Open the...
Then all at once the only noise to be heard was the sound of burning
I'm
mobs.
on fire.
As the brothers got out of bed, Joseph looked around. This is going to be a OP, he said. Howard agreed. The fear had left the two younger brothers and was replaced with curiosity and optimism. William and Charlie's, however, were traumatized about the short sleep, which Howard and Joseph weren't concerned about at the moment. After some comments and some gripes, they made their way outside. To their surprise, they were surrounded by all the villagers in the town, which at the time number 8. The villagers, in awe of the brothers, began to shower them with questions, praises, items of value, and many gifts they had crafted. All of the brothers were taken aback by the celebrations and the admiration. As the villagers began to learn more and more about the brothers and their perspectives, they discovered how the brothers calculated age, differentiated themselves, and went about daily life. They were intrigued by the brothers' individualism. Some of the villagers even started to slowly change their appearance, which led to love and romance and some unexpected occurrences. In Minecraft there is no male or female, there is only the vessel and the sentient being or soul occupying it. So romance itself was a shock to all of the brothers. William soon came to know the villagers as a part of his family, and would often talk with and encourage them to learn new things. Charlie, Howard and Joseph were friends with the villagers, maybe even as close as family too, but William would remember their names, help with their volunteer work, and would always see where he could help improve life in the village. Before long the brothers decided they wanted to expand the village, and due to their experience Howard and Joseph set out to begin breeding villagers. However, these plans fell through, for an anomaly was found in the world. Before, in normal Minecraft, the only thing a villager needed to reproduce was food, another villager, and a bed. Here it was found not to be the case. Fearing there was no way for the villagers to reproduce, Howard and Joseph began to gather information to see if they could find the right problem. Upon further communication with the villagers, a theory did arise, soon to be proven true, but it was one unfamiliar to any game they'd played before. In order for a villager to reproduce, it must have a bed, be given food, and it must have an emotional spark or connection to the partner it's trying to reproduce with. This meant that two random villagers couldn't just reproduce. The situation would just be unfruitful. Chapter 3: Heritage. Although skeptical at first, William would be the reason we knew this was true. With a single unexpected action, and much by accident, William would anchor himself to this new world. William would touch a villager who was named Bella. Bella seemed attracted to the kindness and wisdom William asserted. One day William touched Bella and something unexpected happened. William was stunned as a small light grew from in between them. The light began coming down to reveal a small boy with both of their characteristics. At first William was confused. He asked Bella why she hadn't told him about the awesome little guy, assuming she had intentionally hidden her child from him. But as he took a closer look he froze, he stepped back, and started running away looking for his brother, screaming, "Aha!" as loud as he could until he stumbled across Charlie. Charlie looked amazed. He had never seen William so discombobulated. Screamed at once. "Get a hold of yourself!" he screamed. "What the problem, bro?" "My kid," William gurgled. "Do you mind saying that again in English, please?" Charlie said impatiently. William tried again to get out some words describing his situation, but it mostly sounded like an old engine trying to start. After some time, it became enough of a confusion to bring the other two brothers Howard and Joseph over to see what the commotion was. It was at this point William almost completely lost all the air in his lungs and just pointed over to his new child. After some time Charlie would also have a kid, this time not so much by accident, with a villager named Allison. Both brothers were proud of their new families. William would go on to name his son Orion, while Charlie would go on to name his son Austin. With William having a kid by a village to IR and a lot of the villagers just considering him the head of the family, it was only a matter of time before they decided to make him king. After King William's coronation, Howard and Joseph took it upon themselves to start making a small makeshift castle. The castle allowed the population to skyrocket from 8 villagers to 10, from 10 to 20, 20 to 40. The castle was made into 3 major parts, the first being the main castle, the second living quarters, and the third farmland surrounded by a sturdy wall. After everything was put together, the king made an announcement on the name of his kingdom. He chose the name of Wilbury, thus the kingdom of Wilbury was born. Now for a quick note, Howard, Charlie, and Joseph also have rooms in the main castle. Charlie spends most of his time playing with his kid, while Howard and Joseph help with the establishment of the army and infrastructure of the ever-expanding kingdom of Wilbury. Though there are many questions as to why an army would be needed, it is soon to be proven necessary, as the village's sudden transformation from a small quiet little place to a bustling flourishing kingdom had brought some unexpected problems. Chapter 4, Trouble Brewing. The increase in population and infrastructure made the kingdom a giant beacon of noise, something they would soon regret, for the people of Wilbury would be taken back in time by the very familiar noise, which grew louder daily. Slowly collecting at the walls surrounding their new kingdom was a herd of mobs of all kinds, the most dangerous being the skeleton bone armed to the bone with a bow and arrow with an unlimited amount of arrows and incredible pinpoint accuracy. At the first sight of the attacking mobs, the villager on guard rang the city bell, alerting everyone in the kingdom that they were under attack. The skeletons started to form up on the walls, working together with the Endermen, placing block by block, creating a clear path to scale the wall, presenting a very dangerous situation for the army of the Wilbury kingdom. All at once villager guards rushed to their stations, taking up arms. The royal guards alerted the king, who called for everybody to immediately arm themselves and put the women and children into the designated shelters. Then King William put on his armor and rushed to the wall to help fight off the incoming mobs. Though some might not think it is a noble job to watch after the little kids instead of helping with battle, Charlie decided to stay with the women and children to make sure if they were found they would be properly defended. He spat and said, "If they want those kids, they'll have to kill me twice," then ran to the safe house. Everyone was huddled together, scared of the mobs, and nervous about the outcome of the battle. When the children and the women began to cry, Charlie provided them comfort, reminding them that the kingdom always had an ace up its sleeves. Chapter 5, Over the Wall, Double Splash. "What seems to be the problem, boys?" A familiar voice spoke out to the army villagers from behind. "Make sure to take notes," Joseph said as he leaped over the wall with Howard, both covered in diamond armor and gear. They were armed to the teeth with diamond swords. "It's time to get swiftly," Howard yelled. Within seconds of their arrival, Joseph and Howard had already cleared the front gate of all mobs. Turning their attention to the remaining forces, they continued their slaughter. "This is weird," Howard said to Joseph. "I don't remember us working together like this ever." "Me either, but at least we still have the upper hand," Joseph said as he effortlessly decapitates multiple mobs. As they were running alongside the outside of the kingdom walls, arrows started to rain from above. How predictable, Joseph snarled. Joseph and Howard both quickly pulled out their shields to defend against the arrows, as they moved to block the enemy's advance on the kingdom's forces. Howard quickly reached into his back, then pulled out a potion and threw it towards the skeleton archers. "I got a present for ya!" he yelled. Upon contact, they were immediately demolished into bones and scraps. "That was left-handed," Joseph chuckled. Chapter 6, Something More. When there seemed to be no mobs left, King William called for the two knights, his brothers, to be brought into the kingdom at once, and for the guards to man the walls. Then the king started congratulating his subjects, telling everybody they did a great job, and to keep up the good work, which filled the villagers with joy, pride and much happiness. After King William did a head count, he realized that no villager was lost during the attack, which made him much happier and grateful. His entire kingdom had survived. When Howard and Joseph made it to the front gate, the villagers picked them up off their feet and carried them straight to the king, shouting and celebrating. Howard and Joseph demanded to be let down, but could not be heard over the immense volume of the crowd, so they rode the wave to King William. Upon arrival, King William sat in his throne with a smile on his face, his congratulatory arms open. "My brothers, my honorary knights," the king declared. "You too, as always, have done an excellent job. Please, I know we are family, but tell me, is there anything I can do for either of you for your hard work and bravery?" Howard was quiet, but Joseph spoke up almost immediately. "My brother, my king, we have been here for some time. It would mean the utmost to us if we could be allowed to go explore and research the outside world more." This immediately took the smile off of King William's face, but before he could speak, Howard echoed Joseph's desire. "Yes, my king," Howard pleaded. "Let us go out and research, for there are many things here we are eager to learn about." Subconsciously, William did not want to let them leave. However, he also knew it would only be a matter of time before the two brothers would sneak off anyways because of their curiosity. So after deep thought and consideration he agreed, but only if the armies in their eyes were ready to handle the utmost threat that could disturb the kingdom. Joseph and Howard smiled and happily said, "Very well, my king, it will be done," and took their leave, thanking the king as they departed. King William, now alone in his throne room, bowed his head and began to cry. Chapter 7. And then, after some time had passed, and repairs to the city's fortifications had been made, everything seemed to be in order for Joseph and Howard's journey to begin. They walked to the kingdom's gates, looked back for only a moment, then set off looking for their next adventure.